We are entering the time of year when Metro Detroit sees some serious storms, and they're happening more frequently. Thanks for being here for our Severe Weather Awareness Special. I'm Kim Adams. Our team of forewarned meteorologists is always working to keep you informed so you and your family can stay safe. In the next half hour, we'll help you make a plan so you're prepared at home. Share the first steps you should take if your home is damaged in a storm, and give you tips to ease the anxiety of pets. Plus, we'll tell you why we're seeing more and more solar storms that create those incredible northern lights. But let's start with tornadoes. Research and technology are helping us to better forecast severe weather and increase warning times. But sometimes storms can reach severe limits or even produce tornadoes with little or no warning. Last year, a brief tornado spun up in Livonia and it turned deadly. Forewarned meteorologist Ron Hilliard takes us back to the area.
Here in Southeast Michigan, you're used to it, severe thunderstorms, and some of those severe thunderstorms can produce tornadoes. We get that warm, moist air, we have the warm temperatures, and how is a tornado born? Well, you have wind coming in different directions in the thunderstorm cloud, and shear is created. Here's what it looks like. You get wind in different directions up in the clouds, and then you start to see that rotation. It's horizontal rotation. Well, then the next thing that happens is that you get wind coming from the ground and it pushes up into the cloud. That warm air and moist air that pushes into the cloud then rotates that air and it changes from horizontal and becomes vertical. You see a funnel forming and then a tornado is born. Well, while we have mostly weak tornadoes here in Southeast Michigan, some of them do get on the stronger side, and the very strongest tornadoes that form can have winds in excess of 200 miles per hour, making it an EF5 tornado. Well, just last year in June, Livonia had an EF1 tornado with winds peaking at 95 miles per hour. Tornadoes can and sometimes do form with little to no warning, and that was the case for people in Livonia, many being caught off guard.
The whole sky turned green and you just saw everything whip in the trees, going wild.
Derek Tucker, who lives near 5 Mile and Farmington Roads in Livonia, reflects on the tornado that struck his city and neighborhood on June 5th last year.
A lot of trees came down throughout the neighborhood. His stuff was trashed, some damaged vehicles.
His son, Thomas, was riding his bike during the storm.
It was scary. The whole sky was blue from like the transformers. There was lightning very close to me.
And then the scariest moment.
And a tree fell right in front of me. A tree branch hit my friend in the face and me.
The boys were not seriously hurt, but little did they know at the time, the tornado had already brought tragedy to another family in the city when a tree fell on a house, claiming the life of a toddler and injuring his mom. After peaking with winds of 95 miles per hour, making the tornado an EF1, it then traveled into Livonia's Rotary Park, leaving damage like this.
This one had a tree fall down on it. We had more over here where we just had the wind damage taking off the roofs, the siding. And then we had the larger, which I would consider myself, not being an engineer, a very structurally sound pavilion, which was the solid brick. So that was taken down and they have since completely cleared that out.
One of the pavilions will be repaired while another is getting completely rebuilt. Brian Kahn, who's Director of Emergency Preparedness and Homeland Security for the city of Livonia, says of the hundreds of trees that the tornado brought down in Livonia, 40 of them were in Rotary Park.
Yeah, there were some large trees that were down over here. Large pine trees, just like these that were standing.
What are some of the things that families can do in order to prepare for a severe weather event or any other emergency?
I think a lot has to do is beginning at the family level, talking to their family, especially young kids, relatives, older adults that we may have, and let them know, hey, if something were to occur, here's what we should do or what we shouldn't do. When it comes to the tornado warnings or watches themselves, understand that if there is a warning, it does mean to take shelter, even severe thunderstorms.
Michigan averages around 15 tornadoes each year, with Southeast Michigan getting about 5 of those. While they are most common from May to August, they can happen almost any time, like last year's Grand Blanc tornado in February, or the Holly tornado last November. And while most common in the afternoon and evening, tornadoes can strike in the middle of the night. Climate Central meteorologist Lauren Casey reminds us.
You know, with warming, especially later in the day and warmer overnights in this, you can kind of loosely connect an increase potentially in nighttime tornadoes. And already of all your tornado events in Michigan, about a third of those happen at nighttime.
With the risk of tornadoes and other severe weather happening when people are sleeping or at the park, Khan says it's imperative to have multiple ways to get warnings, like having a NOAA weather radio and knowing what to do when you hear an outdoor warning siren.
Somebody to be outside cutting the grass and pick up and go, you know, what is that sound going off, and listen, oh, that's a siren. And then maybe you look at the sky, or you go inside and see what's going on, or you look at your phone, you get a notification from your phone.
When threatening weather approaches, 13-year-old Thomas is going to take it seriously.
But I didn't think much of it because I've been in the rain before, but definitely pay attention now to the weather app and stuff.
In Livonia, Ron Hilliard, Local 4 News.
Always best to have that severe weather plan and go over it with your family as well. Well, you've probably heard that the safest place to be during a tornado is in your basement. But what if you don't have a basement? The best place to go in that situation is the lowest level of your home and in a room, if you can, with no windows. That might be your bathroom. If it's your bathroom, you should get into the bathtub and put something over your head to protect yourself. If you've ever seen severe weather damage of a home that's been destroyed in a tornado, oftentimes the bathtub is still intact. If your bathroom has windows, you can also go into an interior closet. Schools also prepare for this type of thing. Forewarned meteorologist Brian Sherman went to Flat Rock to see what students are doing to prepare.
Michigan is no stranger to severe weather, especially tornadoes. 3 tornadoes touched down in Metro Detroit last year, and who can forget the EF3 Ingham-Livingston County tornado in 2023? That's why exercises like this.
There is a severe weather alert in your area. Please follow your severe weather procedure.
Are important for everyone.
And then we just have those conversations about when we're in class, we stand up, we don't worry about our Chromebooks, we don't worry about our chairs, we just exit the classroom and get into the hallway as quickly as possible.
Students and teachers at Barnes Elementary participated in their statewide tornado drill a few days early last week, but severe weather safety is embedded into the curriculum used in the classroom.
We do reports on extreme weather, so they're very interested in it, so they are very knowledgeable by 4th grade, especially with the weather opportunities. And it's a little bit scary, so that's why we talk about it.
And despite some students being a little scared, faculty and staff say it's important to train for emergency drills like tornado drills.
You could see how they shuffled them out really quick. The kids knew exactly what to do. Even some of our students that sometimes have a difficult time following directions, they knew exactly what to do because we've practiced it so much for them. Severe weather doesn't just happen here at school, but it can happen outside of school too, whether they're at home or in the mall or in a restaurant with their family, and they'll know exactly what to do should they be out in public somewhere or at home. They can take care of themselves and they can tell their families, this is what we've learned at school, this is how we can be safe.
When a tornado warning is issued, we tell you to go to the lowest floor of your home, such as a basement. If you don't have a basement, go to the interior-most portion of your home, such as a bathroom or interior closet. The same premise applies here in schools. We bring kids out of the classrooms into the hallways, keeping them away from windows, putting as many walls between them and the outside world as possible. The skills the students are practicing during the statewide tornado drill will keep them safe whether they're here at school and protect you and your family if severe weather develops when kids are at home. Practicing our severe weather safety skills at Barnes Elementary in Flat Rock, Wayne County. I'm forewarned meteorologist Brian Sherman, Local 4. All right, guys, here we go.
Thanks, Brian. There's one threat that may go unnoticed during this season. As forewarned meteorologist Ashley Barrissey shows us, straight line winds can cause just as much damage as tornadoes.
When you see storms on radar, they might start in a scattered nature fueled by moisture in the environment, and sometimes those storms become linear, and when they do, they are likely severe. The backside winds can actually become stronger than the winds ahead of the storm, forcing the line to bow out. Meteorologists refer to this as a bow echo on radar, which indicates the strongest area of wind. But I want you to take a closer look at this. When an area of wind damage extends, more more than 250 miles paired with wind gusts along a path at or greater than 58 miles per hour, then you have a derecho. Meteorologist Lauren Casey of Climate Central explains how a warming climate is energizing our atmosphere, which in turn can lead to more extreme wind events like this.
More warmth, more moisture, more instability that allows these storms to grow stronger more quickly and also to sustain themselves for longer periods of time. In Michigan, you can see where you get sometimes derechos or a long line of very strong thunderstorms that produce those damaging winds and that continue to track for hundreds of miles and cause a lot of damage in their path.
So come with me so we can translate what you see on radar compared to what you see at the surface when a thunderstorm is rolling through. So located near the base of a thunderstorm is a shelf cloud. These are wedge-shaped and typically associated with severe winds. Now, this warmer, more humid air gets pushed above the cooler air, helping to develop the tall, ominous clouds that are associated with thunderstorms. Damaging winds occur when the storms are able to pull fast winds from the atmosphere down to the surface through a downdraft. I spoke with Professor Marsick at the University of Michigan about why wind events become more dangerous when paired with heavy rain.
That will exacerbate the situation. Maybe some trees that are older, especially, maybe their root systems aren't quite as strong, could topple over. And that's what happened 2 years ago. We had the 23rd and 24th, we had that extreme rain event and lots of flooding. And then just 24 hours, a series of storms that came through producing 70-mile-per-hour winds and really significant damage, tens of millions of dollars across southeast Michigan.
So how can you prepare? Well, of course, you want to remove dead trees on your property ahead of windstorms to reduce the risk of them falling. However, something to keep in mind when changing the landscape on your property is that enclosed trees grow tall to capture sunlight without having to deal with wind loads around them that ultimately makes them grow larger roots. But by cutting back some of those trees, the remaining trees are suddenly no longer in a closed environment and become exposed to high winds, which makes them more susceptible to damage. The best way to avoid trouble is just to make sure that these transitional tree zones are a safe distance from your home.
We know many of your pets are terrified of storms, so we talked with a veterinarian about how to keep them calm when severe weather rolls in. And consumer investigator Hank Winchester has some help for homeowners.
Are you covered if a big storm hits your neighborhood? I'm Hank Winchester. Help me, Hank. Coming up, I'm going to be talking with insurance experts and showing you what you need to be doing right now to make sure you're protected.
In the event bad weather causes damage to your home, it's critical that you are insured and have a complete understanding of what is covered and what is not. Our own Help Me Hank had to clean up after straight line winds caused significant damage to his home last summer in Oakland County. Now he's taking us through what he did to help you feel prepared.
Big trees like these, no match for the big storm that tore through Oakland County last summer. My home and many others experienced a lot of damage, but thankfully I was insured. Now important information about the coverage you need to have and the important conversations you should be having with your agent. This storm came in with a vengeance last June.
Wow. All right, well, looks like I won't be mowing the backyard anytime soon.
It scared me and my daughter.
What did you think when you heard the storm?
Scared.
Yeah.
Because I jump sick.
Once the storm passed, I made my way outside to survey the damage.
In walking the neighborhood, the good news is it doesn't appear that anybody was hurt. People are just out. You can see there's part of a tree covering the roadway down here.
I could not believe the destruction, especially since this wasn't caused by a tornado. Here's forewarned meteorologist Ron Hilliard.
A lot of people, say, hey, it looks like a tornado because of the extent of the damage, but in fact, Hank, we can see straight line winds of 100 miles per hour and downbursts with winds just as strong as well.
Thankfully, I was insured and knew exactly what was covered. I immediately took photos of everything that was damaged. My patio set, my child's play structure, my grill, even sunglasses left outside. I kept a log of all the damages, my interactions with my agents, and the crews I was calling for estimates. Tree removal, patio power washing, you name it. I kept all the records.
Take pictures as much as possible, especially if you're tearing out things before the adjuster comes out there to look at it.
Jim Ruhana is CEO of Rockbridge Insurance Group in Bloomfield Hills.
I think it's important to have your agent walk through all the coverages that are there, that are needed, and all the recommendations.
And it's critical that right now, especially if you have valuables in your home, that you document everything you own. Let your agent know it may require special coverage.
Rule of thumb, anything that gains value over time, so jewelry, artwork, antiques, you ideally want to schedule it as a rider on your policy, and those are insured for all risk.
Again, it's important to take a close look at your insurance policy. Read it line by line and have those hard conversations with your agent. Make sure that you're both on the same page. I'm Hank Winchester. Back to you.
Thanks, Hank. You know, pets are like part of the family, and when they're upset, we're upset. So during thunderstorms, a lot of dogs will start panting and pacing. They might even run and hide. So what do you do when your pets are afraid of thunderstorms? Well, we talked to a local veterinarian about how to keep them calm when severe weather rolls in.
She's 15, right?
Mm-hmm. She's 15. She looks pretty good for 15, I'd say.
Meet Bonnie and her dad, Ben. They've had lots of adventures over the last 15 years, including more walks than you can count. But as Bonnie's gotten older, those spring and summer strolls can sometimes cause anxiety and fear because of thunderstorms.
The one thing that I, pay attention to, though, is just her body language and making sure that she is comfortable, I would say. And not putting her in situations where, she is more comfortable. Like I wouldn't take her for a walk during or before or after or anything like that, because it can cause, more, scare.
Veterinarian Dr. Jennifer Travers says not all dog owners are like Ben.
The research shows that at least 50% of dogs show some sort of noise phobia or noise aversion. And thunderstorm fear is really just a subset of noise aversion. And so the really big thing, though, is that that same research found that while 50% of dogs at least have this condition, that only 25% of owners actually recognize that this is a medical condition and that their pet is suffering from it.
So how do you know if your dog or any pet is suffering from noise aversion?
Signs that we can think of with our pets that we may see, whether it's a thunderstorm issue or whether it's traffic or fireworks or gunshots. Things that we see is panting, shaking, more drooling or salivating, pacing, all the way to, urinating and defecating in the house when that's not an animal who normally does that. But definitely pets who have, fear of those other things can often have fear of thunderstorms as well.
A consult with your doctor is the first step to make sure there are no underlying medical issues. Medications can also help. At home, you can close the blinds or curtains when a storm's approaching and provide a safe hiding spot with a white noise machine. During a storm, distraction helps with treats, toys, and food. For Bonnie,
she has her thunder shirt that she loves, makes her feel safe, and we play calming music and lots of cuddles.
This is Lady, and you heard Ben talking about how a thunder shirt helps Bonnie. This thunder shirt is incredible. I have an aging golden retriever at home that is terrified of thunderstorms, and this thunder shirt really, really helps. You can get them online in all sizes, or you could support your local businesses. They sell them at many pet stores here in Metro Detroit. Well, it's not just here on Earth. Space sees more storms, too. The northern lights are an incredible thing to see, but they can actually cause some trouble. What to keep in your home, just in case. Plus, how you can help meteorologists like the Forewarned Weather Team when storms hit. It's a bucket list moment for a lot of people, seeing the northern lights. But there is an actual risk to these space storms. Forewarned meteorologist Ashley Barrissey is back to explain.
It might not be something you usually think about when we talk about severe weather, but it has the capability to disrupt our society. I'm talking about space weather, like the aurora borealis or northern lights. And while it looks gorgeous, it can also be dangerous.
If you haven't noticed, between last year and this year, the sun has been a little dramatic. That's because the sun is nearing its peak in the solar cycle.
The solar cycle is roughly an 11-year cycle. So on average, every 11 years, the sun goes through this routine where we go from a minimum of activity to a maximum and back down to a minimum. We are in solar maximum. Last year was really a very active year with solar maximum, but it doesn't mean there's activity constantly going on during solar maximum.
Dr. Sean Dahl with NOAA says the sun's magnetic activity is hitting max power, throwing off solar flares and coronal mass ejections, or CMEs, lighting the sky and giving dazzling displays of the northern lights here on Earth. But as increased activity means great news for aurora chases, it comes with increased risk, and we've seen the effect of strong geomagnetic storms creating havoc here on Earth in the past.
In Canada in 1989, there was another CME that arrived here at Earth. And within 90 seconds of that CME arrival, the province, 2/3 of the province of Quebec, Canada, went dark because it impacted the electric power immediately, overloaded systems, and they couldn't account for it. And bam, they went out. So for most of the day, millions of people had no power in Canada.
And some of this increased activity comes because of the vernal equinox. Right now, the Earth's axis is parallel to the sun, and this causes magnetic fields of Earth and solar winds to line up, increasing changes of aurora borealis. Dr. Dahl says, think of magnets.
You take two negative magnets or positive magnets and you try to put them together, they repel, right? You turn one opposite, they connect. Same problem here. It's magnetic energy. Earth's magnetic field is pointed northward. A CME comes along and it's the same direction as Earth. Yeah, we'll get an initial punch. Energy will spin up. Things will happen, but we won't connect. It won't really drive the responses up. If it turns south or stays south, then we connect. That's when all the driving forces really happen and things can escalate quickly.
In case a massive geomagnetic storm hits, Dr. Dahl says be weather ready.
Just like you have normal things in your home in case there's some kind of power outage or thing for regular weather events, same thing when it comes to space weather, because at their worst case, things like a dramatic power outage could happen, although it's quite unlikely. It's just one of those very low risk things, but it's something you have to plan for and be ready for, just like you always should for any power outage.
Ashley Barrissey, Local 4.
Did you know you can actually help meteorologists like me when severe weather hits? Kim DiGiulio explains how weather spotters are the eyes and ears on the ground.
That's right. If you've got a nag for this sort of thing, but you don't have the time to become a meteorologist, well, you can become a sky-worn spotter, and this only takes one class.
This is the Doppler radar, the WSR-88D.
Trent Frey is a meteorologist for the National Weather Service. He works out of the Detroit Pontiac Center.
We are the ones watching the radar and issuing the warnings. So anytime you get an alert on your phone that says a warning or a watch has been issued, that's coming from our office up in White Lake.
But those alerts come with the help of sky-worn spotters, which after this class, all of these students will be.
We've got all kinds of equipment that we use to keep an eye on the atmosphere. We've got the radar, we've got satellite data that comes in. But again, that tells us what's above the ground. We don't always have an idea of what's going on right at the ground. And so that's where spotters kind of fill in the gaps.
Joey Wirt takes the 90-minute class every year to stay up to date.
We kind of become the last resort if everything goes wrong. But even then, it's still instant communication that doesn't require a cell phone.
Joey says if a weather event is happening where he is, he can use multiple forms of communication to alert the National Weather Service of what's happening on the ground.
What they want to hear, what's actually worth it to them, because they use the radar for everything, and sometimes you just got to confirm what they're seeing.
In fact, it was 4 years ago when a sky-worn spotter helped the National Weather Service identify the Port Austin tornado in Huron County.
So in this case, we were watching the storm as it moved across Saginaw Bay, and we had a diligent spotter that was out here on the coastline of the northwestern thumb and gave us a call and let us know that they were seeing a funnel cloud, and then they saw a water spout that was moving across the lake. And that gave us the confidence we needed to issue the tornado warning.
The National Weather Service holds around a dozen classes here locally every year to train these spotters. They're even offering 2 virtual class options because the need for these spotters is crucial to their mission, protecting lives and property.
We don't know for sure until someone gives us a call or sends us a picture and says, you know, there's a tornado on the ground, or the storm is producing quarter-size hail, things like that. We need the confirmation from spotters on the ground to actually inform us of what the storm is actually producing.
Get your amateur radio license and help out. You'll be amazed what you can use it for.
And get this, you only need to be 13 years old to become a Skywarn spotter. You can be even younger just to take the class. These classes are happening over the next month all over Metro Detroit because they want to train spotters in all of the counties that they cover to make sure that they're doing their job of protecting lives and property. For information on those classes and how to get involved and sign up, that's over on our website at clickondetroit.com. I'm Kim DeGiulio, Local 4.
Thanks, Kim. It's a great time to get involved. And remember, our Forewarned Weather Team is here all year round to help keep you safe. Thanks so much for joining us.